Oh, here we go. Yeah. Whew. Okay. That was not fun. My hips actually scraped a little bit on the side. When I try to get in there, this is a little tight. So I'm in here because I had to attach, this is actually the inlet for the pump, right? The tank's actually on the side. This is for my rainwater collection and the water we're gonna use instead of a well. But, right, so if you imagine that end is the bottom, that's the actual bottom, front of the tank, which will be the suction for the pump. And so this has a little ball on it to float, and then there's the actual suction with the strainer. So it's gonna float, near the surface, and then as it goes down towards the bottom, it'll still be floating a little bit. So that will help minimize getting the sediment, whatever sediment's on the tank. And then, once or twice a year, I can isolate a tank. I can kind of stir things up, like I can put a power washer down in here to kind of stir up the sediment and open a valve. That's what this side is going to be for. That's kind of like a common drain for all the tanks that I'm going to put together. But when I was in here, I noticed that there was a gasket floating around just at the bottom of the tank. So I'm like, what's that gasket from? Is that gasket from them putting this connection on, this bulkhead fitting? And I think it is. I don't see, it's possible that they could collapse it enough to not have a gap there, but I would think if there's a gasket there, I would be able to see at least a little gap. I mean, I don't know how tight that thing is. You know what? I got some Flex Seal that I actually use for the other side, because when I cut this, I cut it just a little bit too big. So I actually use some Flex Seal to make sure that the gap would kind of be sealed all the way. I think that it would have held, but just in case it didn't, I wanted that. But honestly, I wonder if I could just use the Flex Seal around the outside. Well, I mean, that's the inside. Basically where the gasket would go. And it should hold, because the pressure is going to be pushing on it. I was worried about putting it on the outside because then the pressure would be pushing against that. But honestly, if I just do that Flex Seal, that's kind of taking the place of the gasket. All right. Oh, that's tight. Get the shoulders in this part. I guess it's good my shoulders are kind of wider than my hips. Not bad. I kind of got a wiggle. Yeah. Oh, man. Whew. Fat tank baby. Fat tank baby birth. Oh. Here's the. Oh. All right, take off my shorts. Oh. Whew. The plan here is going to be putting So say 6 totes, let's say I get 5 more, so that's 5,000 liters of water. Sorry, 6,000. So 6,000 liters of water. Let me just do so that's about 1,600 gallons. So, you know, not quite the same size as one of these tanks, but a huge, you know, that's a lot. That's pretty significant. So these tanks are going to be lower. What I really want to do is build a stand for them, so they kind of sit, you know, off the ground at least a little bit, so we can have a header for any type of, like if we have a garden over here, right, I could just have irrigation straight from those tanks to this garden, or honestly anywhere it could be gravity fed, as long as it's lower than the level of these tanks, which basically anything to that side of the property is lower than this level. So if I just get a little bit of height in there, you know, like this could be our garden irrigation. Or if it is in threat of filling up and I have room in those tanks, what I'm going to do is I can just bury a header, all right, just like PVC. I can bury a header under, over to here and up here, or honestly I can just use a garden hose. I don't need to keep it fancy like a header. I'm going to string a garden hose to there and use this pump that I have hooked up here, pretty much just like this. You know, I might keep one of the tanks, like I might put a T in there, so that way I can go to all of the other tanks and get suction from them, and then also this tank can go to whatever drip irrigation or whatever I want to use that water for. But that is a much better way than trying to figure out how to bury these tanks lower than the level of the solar array, because that was getting difficult to try to figure that out. And then I was getting to the point where the tanks would have to be like either way over there or way over there. So for right now, just to kind of recap, I got sidetracked. Let me take this. I use this to kind of, I had to get underneath the tank to level it out a little bit, because I noticed when I was connecting those valves, it was a little off. So I just kind of hooked it up there and ratcheted it off to the side and tilted so that I could get underneath it. So what I need to do now, and I don't know, we'll just throw that there for now. What I need to do now is I'm going to cut a hole, drop that in, put that together, and then a right angle at the top, and kind of just leave that for now. And then I will dig from there over to here. I don't want to dig too close to the foundation for the length, but the pump I'm actually going to put on this side. So I'm going to have to dig, you know, maybe like this far away. Like I don't want to get right next to the foundation. So I think maybe like here. I'm not going to be running over that close to the shed anyway. I don't know which piece is bigger. So this one is bigger. This, that over there. I guess might as well close to the edge as possible to save some pipe. Well, I want to keep this structure on the lip, so let's go a little bit further away. Not sure how well this will. The other tricky part is I don't want this falling in there. I don't think it'd cause any real problems, but it's just kind of better. Let's just get a drill. Normally, I mean, yeah, you should probably use a drill, but this stuff is so soft, I have been able to kind of just do this, but it doesn't seem to want to work this time. I'm almost there. I'll just get a drill, but honestly, no, this is fine. Just trying to get. Go. I don't think it'd be the end of the world if that piece fell down there, but it's not magnetic. There's no way to get it. I'm not jumping into the tank vertically. You know, I might not ever get out. I don't even know how I'd put a ladder down in that hole, but yeah, so that'll make it easier to grab it. I'm not good at jigsawing. I always feel like you need to turn it more than you really should have to turn it. I think that'll work just fine. So the tricky part is I have to put this on last after those already go in. So let's do this. This seems like recipe for disaster. Work right next to an open hole that you don't want to drop anything down. What could possibly go wrong? Now, I don't know whether or not this thing can get glue or if primer even does any good, but I'm probably just gonna apply a little bit to it anyway. But honestly, friction's gonna hold it in place. It's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be pressed against the bottom of the tank. It's not like it's going anywhere. But I think since I'm gluing the rest, I might as well do some primer and glue. We'll see if it holds. The primer will be the big, let's see. Maybe. Let's see what happens. It's got that lip on it. I don't even know if it needs primer and glue. You know what? Yeah. Normally I'd put glue on the inside of there, but I don't really think this matters. It's gonna be pushed against the bottom of the tank. It's not like it's gonna need pressure. The only thing I have to worry about is I really don't want it falling apart on the way down. So again, and this isn't like it needs to be watertight, because this is the top. The overflow is actually below this. You know, if this was like a water seal, obviously I wouldn't be pushing down the gasket with the head of a flathead. I think we're gonna call that good for today. I'm gonna have to do a lot of hand digging to clean that up. Well, really, not hand digging, more like hand moving the stones out of the way, because I don't want it to make the trench like a mile wide, right? But with so many rocks, I kind of got to get in there manually and remove them and see what I got. And then if there's anything stubborn, instead of having to use the pickaxe, I'll just use the tractor to kind of pry it up. Like that huge Mongo, my goodness. Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to do that one by hand. But anyway, I got the beginnings of a trench going. I've got a pretty massive headache I've had all day today, so I'm going to stop at this point before I start delving into it by hand. And I think we'll call it good from there. Got my, just double check everything over here. I don't think it matters, but those valves are closed. I added the water to the little float up there, so nothing can get in and down into the tank. Both lids are on, and I think we're good. So we're getting there. Kind of excited. I just need to find 5 totes there. So we'll see. They're on Craigslist a lot of people, you know, like they have like molasses in them, I've seen, or they put like some type of citric acid in there that they use for like food products, making food products. So they're used a lot in the food industry, and then they're done with them, or they reach their end of life, and then they're like, okay, well, this is a good tank, what am I going to do with it? So they sell them on the aftermarket, and I can get them for like 50 to $100 range is what I've seen, versus the, you know, brand new is like 350 to 400. So yeah, not really practical if you get it new, but used, they're actually a pretty good deal. Anyway, I think I'm about done. I will see you guys later.